Jeremy Clarkson is an English television presenter, journalist, and writer who has a net worth of $70 million. He is best known as the host of the internationally acclaimed sports car show Top Gear, which is consistently one of the most viewed television shows in the world. Considering the show's reach, Clarkson's Top Gear salary was a surprisingly modest $4 million per year. But don't feel too bad for Jeremy. In addition to his base salary, Clarkson owned 30% of the rights to Top Gear. That means he gets a cut of profits from all licensing deals, DVD sales, syndication, and merchandise. On top of his base salary, Clarkson typically earns an additional $7.5 to $13 million per year in dividends and bonuses from the show. In 2013, the BBC, which already owned 50% of the show, bought out all outstanding stakes to take full control of the Top Gear empire. This transaction netted Clarkson roughly $21 million. Cars. Jeremy Clarkson has driven just about every auto under the sun, from a Toyota Hilux to a tiny PLP 50 to a McLaren P1 to a Brutus Bomber BMW. From microcars to trucks to supercars, Clarkson has driven them all. There isn't anything on four wheels that he won't review. It's only when it comes down to two wheels where he draws the line, and he often mocks Hammond and May for their loves of motorcycles. So, if Clarkson gets to drive anything he wants, then he must be very picky when it comes to what he buys for himself. He has to absolutely love a car, or he won't buy it. He has bought extremely practical cars like the Ford Focus, but he has also bought extremely impractical cars like the Ford GT, which is almost impossible to use as a daily driver. Clarkson doesn't keep everything he buys. He often sells cars after he has nearly destroyed them. He has sold some of his favorite cars after he realized they were simply too finicky and not suitable for use on anything but the track. Here's a look at some of the cars that Jeremy Clarkson has owned over the years. Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Jeremy Clarkson loves his supercars, and he particularly loves the ones with a lot of power and speed. Clarkson's motto has always been, go as fast as possible in a straight line. He regularly pokes fun at Richard Hammond whenever he is driving an electric supercar. Clarkson loves cars that burn fuel and make a ton of noise, so the Gallardo Spider is the perfect supercar for him. He bought this Lambo after testing it on Top Gear. However, he has reportedly sold it since 2017. Mercedes 600 Grosser. Who said that a Jezza doesn't have any class? If that were true, why would he buy this luxurious boat? The Mercedes 600 Grosser is the kind of car you would take for a Sunday drive, only you would be chauffeured rather than driving it yourself. Clarkson searched long and hard for the perfect saloon car, and he finally decided on the Mercedes 600 Grosser. This behemoth is totally old school. It uses hydraulics rather than electric motors to move the seats, the doors, and the windows. That's one of the reasons Clarkson likes it so much. Volvo XC90. This is perhaps Clarkson's favorite auto of all time because he has owned multiple XC90s over the years. He has reportedly owned as many as 4 different first-generation XC90s. At first, Clarkson was skeptical about the second-generation Volvo XC90, but he has since said that the well-appointed, stylish, spacious interior and whisper-quiet diesel engine make it a real winner. I expect him to continue to buy XC90s for many years to come. 2005 Ford GT. Clarkson bit off more than he could chew when he purchased a rare Ford GT. The powerful American-made supercar seemed like the perfect fit for him, but he soon found out there were too many problems with it to use as a daily driver. The security alarm kept going off on the car, it couldn't fit on the Hammersmith Bridge, and there were problems with the immobilizer and tracking system. He eventually sold the car because it gave him too many headaches, not to mention he didn't enjoy the very low sitting space. Porsche 911. Clarkson is always in the mood for a car that's fast and sporty, so you would think that the iconic Porsche 911 is right up his alley. However, that's simply not the case. Richard Hammond and James May love the 911, but Clarkson has bashed the car on numerous occasions. He even went so far as to say that he was too well endowed to ever drive a Porsche 911. Despite that, he still ended up buying one, as was spotted driving it at a Help for Heroes fundraiser in 2013. Toyota Land Cruiser. Clarkson owned a Toyota Land Cruiser Amazon from 1999 to 2004. For a guy who supposedly loves cars, he sure does hate a lot of them. He really didn't like this full-size SUV. The car was not dependable, according to him, and he really regretted not springing for the extra warranty. 1986 Alfa Romeo GT V6. This was a bit of a love-hate type of relationship. Jeremy Clarkson said that the Alfa Romeo GT V6 was both the best and worst car that he had ever owned. That seems to be a recurring theme with Clarkson and his cars. He buys cars that he loves, but they never seem to work properly. Consistently, it seems that the funniest ones to drive compromise on dependability. Jaguar XJR V8. Jeremy Clarkson has never shied away from gushing about Jaguar. He loves the British, now Indian car manufacturer, and he has been a die-hard fan of many of the automaker's finest autos. He once owned a 1999 Jaguar XJR with a V8 engine, but it has since been sold at auction. Clarkson is so confident in the quality of the Jaguar XJR that he drove a 2000 XJR through the snowy Colorado countryside in an episode of the Grand Tour. Ferrari F355. A car collection would not be complete without Ferrari, so of course, Clarkson chose one of the best for his collection. Clarkson loved the F355 so much when he tested it on Top Gear that he immediately went out and bought one for himself. However, he wasn't completely happy with his purchase. He lamented not getting a hardtop, and he soon found out that he was getting pulled over by the police way too much because it was showier. He also wanted a green one, but instead went with the iconic red paint job, which we think was just fine. Toyota GR Yaris. In 2021, Toyota released an insanely powerful beast based on their extremely underpowered compact car, the Yaris. This was part of Toyota getting much more playtime with their relatively new in-house tuning company, Gazoo Racing. So, what is it like to drive a car that weighs less than 2,500 pounds and gets about 100 horsepower to each of its 3 pistons? According to Jeremy, the GR Yaris is brilliant. He loves the car, raves about it, even named it that car of the year, and yes, he even owns one now. Volkswagen Golf GTI. Volkswagen got in a lot of trouble with its diesel emission scandal. It was discovered that Volkswagen installed emission software that allowed it to cheat on EPA emissions drive cycle tests. Clarkson didn't care about the scandal at all, and he tweeted that he loved his Golf GTI right around the time the scandal broke. However, the Volkswagen Golf GTI was not actually one of the Volkswagens that included the deceptive software that was used to bypass emission standards. While people complain that VWs are now muted and dull, Jeremy still gives his old GTI credit. McLaren 675 LT. It seems as if Clarkson treated himself to an amazing and spectacular supercar after signing his deal with Amazon to make multiple seasons of the Grand Tour. After he signed his new contract, a brand new bright orange McLaren 675 LT was delivered to his home in London. This is a truly amazing supercar. After all, sometimes you just have to treat yourself. The $350,000 supercar is a gift that Clarkson deserved to buy for himself with all that sweet Amazon cash. The Rally MFB Bentley Continental. What happened to the Bentley from the Grand Tour? Jeremy kept it. Even with its roll cage, lift, oversized tires, and other atrocities to the Bentley name, Jeremy kept it the same. Wouldn't you? Apparently, a massive 6,000-pound luxury sedan with a few mods is a prime way to get between your sheep and your farm store. Mercedes CLK Black Series. Clarkson was upset when he sold his Mercedes 63 CLK Black Series. He really enjoyed the car and he praised it when he reviewed it on Top Gear. However, he did often complain when the battery died on the luxury car. Clarkson reportedly sold the car for about the same price he bought it for in 2007. At least it maintained its value despite Clarkson absolutely pushing the car to its limit. Lexus LFA. When the first LFA came on Top Gear, Jeremy made fun of it. He had never driven it before. After he did his own review of it, he loved it enough to buy his own. While driving it on the show, he admitted that the LFA is the best car he had ever driven. The noise was enough to make any car person cry. Even though he's since sold it, he has brought it up a few times since, so it clearly holds a dear place in his heart. Mercedes SLK 55 AMG. There are many reasons to buy a luxury car. For fun, to have a nice car to drive daily, or to take to the track and put the pedal to the metal. However, who would have thought that spite would be a reason to buy a car? Well, Clarkson apparently. He said he bought the Mercedes SLK 55 AMG because he wanted to annoy his co-star James May. May bought a Boxster, and Clarkson said he wanted a better and faster car. Mercedes SL 55 AMG, Civic Type R. Clarkson really loves his Mercedes, and he described the Mercedes SL 55 AMG as the Swiss Army knife of the automotive world because of all its capabilities. He reportedly sold the car in 2014 for a mere $18,000. That's one heck of a deal for whoever bought the luxury auto. Mercedes SLS AMG Roadster. The Mercedes SLS AMG Roadster is a truly impressive car thanks to its powerful 6.2-liter AMG V8 engine, which can achieve speeds of up to 62 miles per hour in a mere 3.8 seconds. The Roadster has an impressive top speed of 197 miles per hour. Clarkson was spotted driving this impressive luxury car in 2011. He stopped in Notting Hill for a cup of tea and smoke before getting back into the amazing high-performance sports car. He kept a close eye on the car while he took a break. You would too if you owned something that cool. Range Rover. Clarkson doesn't just drive the Range Rover on a regular basis, but he also insists there be a fleet of them when he is filming any motoring show. They are very useful in hauling around production staff and equipment, keeping up with fast cars, and also keeping up off-road. Jaguar XJ6. The car journalist has made it no secret how much he loves Jaguars. He is always giddy and excited when he gets behind the wheel of any Jaguar, and the XJ6 was no exception. It's one of many Jaguars he has owned throughout the years since he has been reviewing cars. He just can't help but want to buy a new Jaguar whenever he tests one. Jaguar XJR 4.0. Not only has he owned the XJR V8 in 1998, but before that, he also owned the Jaguar XJR 4.0 in 1995, which was extremely powerful thanks to its supercharged 4.0-liter engine in the sport-oriented model. Clarkson might just love Jaguars as much as he loves Mercedes. Ford Escort RS Cosworth. The Rally Special Hatchback is a car with superior handling and plenty of get up and go, so we can see why Clarkson would have one of these cars in his personal collection. The 145 mph top speed is unbelievable for a sporty little hatchback, and its iconic third wing made it really stand out. BMW M3 CSL. Clarkson took this car to the Isle of Man on Top Gear, and he couldn't get enough of this car. There was a very good reason he test drove the CSL on the Isle of Man: no speed limits. He was in heaven, and it's no surprise Clarkson owns this hardcore BMW. The M3 is great, but there are a few we'd rather buy instead. Honda CRX. Clarkson has owned a Honda CRX, and it's no surprise considering the pedigree of this Japanese sport compact. The CRX had it all: nimble handling, superior performance, and impressive fuel economy. This was a speedy and sporty car, and it was extremely popular, especially with petrol heads. So Clarkson naturally gravitated towards this car. CRX supposedly stood for Civic's Renaissance X, and that makes total sense, because the CRX was a renaissance for the drab and planned Civic. It was far sportier and much cooler in almost every way. Volkswagen MK1 Scirocco. Clarkson once owned an MK1 Scirocco and an MK2 Scirocco, but things have changed a lot over the years. He despised the Volkswagen Scirocco 2.0 TDI and called it a moose. He even put it on his worst of list in a Sunday Times column in 2016. Lotus Elise 111S. The Lotus Elise 111S certainly seems more like a car that Richard Hammond would drive, but Clarkson did own one of these tiny sports cars. The 111S had a VVC Rover K-Series engine with a modified head and VVT-type technology, which produced 143 brake horsepower. If you wanted something sporty and fun, and you were on a budget, then this was one of the best sports cars you could get at the time. The chip-cutter front grille gave this car a sexy and sleek look, and it really stood out. Aston Martin Virage. It was bigger and bulkier than most other Aston Martins, so that would naturally mean it would be a good fit for tall Clarkson and his big potbelly. This sports car may be forgotten by most, and it didn't fly off the lot like Aston Martin had hoped it would, but Clarkson liked it enough to own one. It had a powerful V12 engine, and that's always a positive for a petrolhead like Clarkson who always wants more power. Real estate. Jeremy Clarkson recently appeared on his new Amazon Prime series, Clarkson's Farm. The show saw the TV presenter living in a barn on the farm while his home was being built. Back in 2008, Jeremy bought around 1,000 acres of land in the beautiful village of Chipping Norton in the Cotswold, Oxfordshire. The land included Curdle Hill Farm, where the local farmer grew barley, rapeseed, and wheat. The local farmer retired in 2019, which saw Jeremy take the reins and farm the land himself. He renamed the farm Diddley Squat and has since opened a farm shop on the land. The show has been a roaring success, with hundreds of fans descending on the farm shop last week hoping to meet Jeremy. In 2016, Jeremy's colleagues Richard Hammond and James May demolished his £4.5 million cottage in Oxfordshire for the Grand Tour. Jeremy was planning to tear down the cottage anyway and rebuild a new home. He reportedly submitted plans for the estate, which were validated by the council in July 2016. He is currently still in the process of building his new home, which is set to be around 12,173 square feet. The property will also reportedly have an attic games room, a cinema, an orangery, room for 5 cars, a quad bike garage, a yard for their horses, 5 bathrooms, and 6 bedrooms. While the house is being built, Jeremy and his girlfriend Lisa Hogan are living in a barn on the farm. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and also share with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more lifestyle videos and make sure to turn on the notifications for future updates about your favorite personalities.